Sauneri, AB Boxing News here with my guy, King Gabriel Rosado, or Gabe Rosado. What's going on,
Yeah,
brother?
yeah.
How's everything, man?
Chilling, bro. I mean, just got done at the wild card. I mean, about to head home in a little bit.
Mm.
Just locked in, man, ready to go to Florida.
When exactly leaving to Florida? A couple days?
So we're leaving Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
What's the adjustments for this fight and compared to other fight during this COVID era, this pandemic?
Um, you know what, man? What the, it's crazy, bro. It's just constantly, wearing the mask everywhere you go. Which I mean, that's for everybody, but it's just kind of I'm staying away from large groups, pretty much just training, going home, man. And I mean, keeping myself safe, and then we get tested every other week, and I mean, make sure everybody's cool with the team and stuff like that. So, but everybody's pretty responsible, man, and everybody just plays their part, do what they got to do. It's just a part of life right now, you know what I mean? So it ain't no biggie, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah. Do you feel like this fight is like, in other words, an early Christmas gift? Because we know you wanted this fight for a hot minute or maybe a hot year or whatnot, right? Do you consider this like an early gift for you if all goes well at November 27th?
Nah, I really don't look at it like that because it's a fight I wanted, but the fight was supposed to happen back in June. So like right after we fought, you know, the card in Phoenix, it was already talks of already setting this up,
Mm,
whether it was going to be between March or June. Obviously, with the pandemic, it slowed the whole process down. But
mm,
you know what I mean? It's just something where like we were pretty much in communication about making the fight. So I knew it was gonna happen. It was just a matter of when. So, it's just like making sure you don't overtrain and just kind of like just go with the just kind of like stay sharp. I mean, you don't want to do too much, man, because then you leave it all in the gym. So it's just training smart, man. And then once it was time to, once it was official, then we turned up.
mm. Would you say that regardless of how things, certain things had to happen, right, to make the fight happen? Do you feel like
Yeah.
because you're relatively new at 168, he's relatively new 168, that this was kind of, in other words, best case scenario for both of you guys, since you guys are both new at a new weight class?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that eventually, everybody grows out of their weight class. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's not making the 160 was getting rough. I'm sure it was getting rough for him too. So, you know, I'm I walk around 86. You know what I mean? So, at 68, I'm pretty strong. But the thing is this, man. When it really comes down to it, fighters that vets like me and Jacobs, the weight class really is not a factor because at this point it's just we're vets and it just comes down to experience.
Mm,
So I mean, I really don't put too much emphasis in the weight. I mean, like if it's it's just at this point it's about experience, man.
okay. Does it matter if the fight was with fans or no fans? Knowing the magnitude of this
Well,
fight,
I
knowing
mean, yeah, it's nice. A fight like this in Brooklyn or Philly would have been lit. It would have been fun. It would have been, I mean, it would have. I think it would have sold out. You know what I'm saying? Um, but you know, I just gotta put myself in the mind frame that there ain't a crowd. You know what I mean? So it's like, already knowing that, you prepare yourself for it. So it is what it is. At this point, it just comes down to just doing my job, whether there's fans or not. Obviously the fight's on the zone, so the fans get to tune in. You know what I mean? So It's just the atmosphere is different. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, it is what it is.
Mm. I wanted to ask also because this year alone, right? We have a lot of fighters that haven't fought yet during the pandemic era, and there's fighters that have. And with that
Yeah.
being said, there's been a lot of upsets. For me,
Yeah.
I would say in November 27th, if you defeat Danny Jacobs, I wouldn't consider an upset. But the
Yeah.
casuals will say it will be an upset. What do you
Yeah.
say?
I mean, it's cool. It is what it is. I'm saying, like, um, obviously I'm coming in as the underdog, so, and, a lot of it is just, some of it is, I came up short in big fights, and then some of it is, you know, the information that, the networks and the promoters feed to the fans that, they try to influence the fans and thinking this about a certain fighter. It happens all the time, right? A guy's a monster and then he takes an L and it's like, oh, he's done.
Yeah.
As boxing. So, they got Danny on this pedestal right now, and then so it is what it is, man. You know, when I beat him, they're gonna say, oh, uh, the new Gabriel Rosado, he's fresh, he's rejuvenated. So it's always a story, man. So it is what it is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, even a crazier story, right? Not to say a story, but by Gabe Rosado defeating Daniel Jacobs, is there a rematch clause in place for this fight? On his,
No,
yeah,
no rematch clause.
one
It's
shot
just a
deal.
fight where it's just settling the I guess whatever you want to call it, the beef or whatever. For me, it's not even beef. For me, it's just competitive. I don't got nothing personal against them at all. And I
Mm,
mean, to me, it's just it's just being competitive. You know what I mean? Like we came up at the same time in the pro, going pro, and we went up in the rankings at the same time. So it's like I've been seeing them for a while, vice versa. So it's just one of those fights where it's like, yo, we got to fight. You know what I mean? And I'm saying it got to happen. So it's going down.
okay, okay. Knowing that you and Dan Jacobs in the zone, right? One of the conflicting things I had about the zone was that I felt like the zone was too focused on Canelo Alvarez, that they were focusing too much on him rather than focusing on the other talents with the zone, like yourself,
Yeah,
Jacobs. I could think of Tevin Farmer, Jojo Diaz. I could mention a lot of names, right? So I
yeah,
felt like they focused too much on Canelo that I felt like a lot of talent weren't being utilized at their maximum peak, right?
yeah.
You said, what was your reaction when Golden Boy in the zone let go of Canelo's $365 million contract?
I mean, I think it was I think it was something where Canelo wanted out of it. You know what I mean? So I don't really think it's that they let him go. I think Canelo just didn't want to be a part of it from what it sounds like. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the zone is a new network. You know what I mean? I'm like a new stream.
Yeah.
And boxing fans are very traditional. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's like people are used to the big fights being on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Even though it's more expensive, it's just that it's that culture. It's just that's what it is, right? So, you know, the zone's just in the process of just, I guess, learning how to maneuver and how to work this thing, right? But yeah, it's just fresh. I think a lot of people are just not used to the streaming thing right now. You know what I mean? And Canelo being the star that he is, they put all their eggs in one basket. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they was just counting on that. You know what I mean? And they lose focus on the other fighters. But you know what I mean, with everything that's new, man, is a learning process. You know what I mean? So I think they're gonna pick it up. You know what I mean? It's just it's fresh, still new.
Correct, correct. With him being, I guess, free agent and open to any network or whatnot, any promoter, they were talking about Caleb Plant. he's in your weight class yourself. Danny Jacobs may rematch with Danny Jacobs. Like there's a lot of options for him
Yeah.
if he was to fight the Caleb Plants of the world, like people were saying on December 19, or I think they were saying Callum Smith. What does that say about Canelo's character, knowing that he's willing to fight one of these top guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I hear the pound for pound list and they start naming all these other people, and I don't remember what number they have Canelo at. Like, to me, that's crazy. You know, look, is the man, can me and him potentially fight someday? Yes, right. But you got to give the man his dues. I think he's the number one pound for pound guy because he's been doing that for years. He fought Lara, he fought Trout, he fought Cotto, he fought a lot of guys that, I mean, that, you know, champions and all that. So I think he has the best resume as far as current champion right now.
Mm.
And I mean, so like for him to fight a Plant or a Smith right now, to me is not a shock because that's what he's been doing already. You know what I mean? He went up and he fought Kovalev at 75. So, you know, for him to go up at to fight Kovalev at 75, a guy that's a big puncher, maybe not a Kovalev in his prime, but at the end of the day, he's still a big puncher. He's still got the size. You know, he'd fight anybody, right? But most fighters do fight anybody. The only thing is that Canelo's really in charge of what he wants to do. So he gets to dictate, you know, how his career goes, where a lot of fighters really don't have that leverage. You know, it comes down to what the promoters say. So, you know, but I think if it came down to it, I think that majority of fighters would take that route. They would want to fight. You know, I think you would have been saw Spence versus Crawford if it
Yeah.
was really up to them. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's business. So,
Mm.
you know.
Okay, okay. Based on the card that you're fighting on the 20 on next, was it a Friday? It's on a Friday, right?
Yeah.
Is it like almost slated that, you know, winner of your fight with Jacobs is destined to fight Demetrius Andre? Because I know he's also on the card. I know he's having trouble finding an opponent, but if he does
Yeah.
have an opponent for that night, is that the next matchup? I know you never look forward. You're like you don't look
Yeah.
past your opponent, but is that slated next
You
between
know
you?
what, man? Like, I really ain't even been thinking about nobody else. I
Mm,
mean, like, this whole camp, man, I sleep, eat, fucking, I even have dreams of the motherfucker. For real. So it's like, that's just, my mind is so focused on beating this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really is, man, where I'm not even thinking ahead. And the thing is that, you know what, man, like, I've done that in the past. I've gone into fights where I'm thinking past. And, you know, that's never a healthy thing to go into.
mm,
As far as for me, I just don't think it's a healthy thing to do that. You know what I mean? I think it's just, you just lock in onto what you got. Be in the moment. Don't be thinking about
sure. Okay.
what, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? What's next after this? Just be in the moment, because then, you know, if you get so caught up in thinking about another opponent, you know, come fight time, when it get you know, grimy in that ring, you ain't locked in the way you're supposed to be. You feel me?
Mm,
Because you over here thinking about somebody else. So I mean, I've made that mistake in the past, man. So I'm just locked in on Dan.
okay.
Yeah.
Quickly, you don't have to tell me in a certain time, like in terms of experience, but when was the last year you thought like that situation?
You know what, man? I think the funny thing is, bro, like, I learn in every camp. You
Mm,
know, and if you have a camp where you don't learn, then that's a bad camp. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying, you know, so it's like, in this camp, man, it's just, you know, you learn more about yourself. Obviously, with this whole pandemic, bro,
it's different.
everybody should learn more about themselves, right? Because, like, if you didn't, you know, it went past your head if you missed it, man. So it's like, I feel like, you know, just being totally locked in, present in the moment, the way the world's going, we don't know when we're gonna get out of this. So I think I'm more focused on just being doing my job and doing my best today. And then tomorrow, the same thing. Where I'm
Yeah.
not thinking 2 weeks ahead or 3 weeks ahead. I'm just thinking, all right, today, do the work. If you have a bad day, and not every day is gonna be a good day, right? You might have a shitty sparring day. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna look 100 every sparring session. You might have a shitty sparring session.
Yeah.
But short-term memory, that was then. Tomorrow, I mean, let's turn up. So that's just kind of like how I approach this whole camp.
Yeah. You hit it right on the money. You talk about that every camp you should learn something new, right?
Yeah,
Your relationship with Freddie Roach is also, I would consider, a relatively new relationship, right? In terms of boxing standpoint, right?
yeah,
Do you feel like all that chemistry is like we're gonna see the full Gabe Rosado, Freddie Roach chemistry in the ring that night?
yeah. I've known Freddie for a while already. So
Okay.
when I was fighting at 54 in like 2011, and I ranked #1 that year, Freddie was the commentator of NBC
Mm.
when I went on a win streak that year. And then so I've always been cool with Freddie since then. You know, this is our second fight working together. So we've actually been working. He comes to when the gyms all got shut down, you know, he would come to my gym, and then he'd come with some fighters, and then we just work between us. And I guess from there we just kind of just built more chemistry as far as trainer fighter. And what I like about Freddie, man, is just is all business, and Freddie's super competitive, bro.
I can
Freddie's
imagine.
super competitive, man. So he just brings that out of me, man, and I don't question him. I do what he says. You know what I mean? So it's great. And even Marvin, the assistant trainer, man, great coach as well, man. So it's like it's a whole team, man. Everybody's locked in, you know, and it's just consistency every day, man. So, I'm happy with the camp and my team.
Okay, okay. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's gonna be an exciting fight, man. But just to move
Yeah.
forward a little bit, I wanted to get your perspective on two returning. I could say, right. One is a Hall of Famer, and the other
Yeah.
one, depending who we ask, should be a
Oh,
Hall of Famer or whatnot, right? They're
yeah.
talking about on DAZN, De La Hoya and Marcos Maidana. What do you
Oh,
say to that? What's your reaction to
that's
that?
that's real talk though, or that's just rumor?
No, that is actually real talk.
Or I mean, I think what I mean. I think Oscar, he lost his he lost his guy, man. He lost his golden boy Canelo, man. So he gotta save the company, I guess.
Mm,
You gotta put the gloves on, man. But if I put an edge on who I think would win that, I would lean towards Madonna.
Maidana, okay.
Yeah.
Just because he's a younger fighter and
Yeah, yeah. Younger fighter, and I think at this stage in their life, if someone got more dog in them, I think it's Madonna. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? You know, because that fight is not going to go down to technique and none of that. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that fight's not going to come down to technique. Hold on, real quick, bro.
Yeah, no doubt.
Um, quick.
No, no doubt, no doubt.
So that fight's going to come down to more just biting down on the mouthpiece, man, just letting them fly. So I think
Mhm.
like Madonna, man, he got that. One thing you don't lose is your power. But Oscar got power too. You know what I mean? But what's the age difference on those guys?
I think there is maybe like a 5, 6, 7 year age difference.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I don't believe it till it's like a done deal,
Oh,
bro.
yeah. Okay.
Honestly, I don't believe it because I think it's just more talk than anything. Because you know, I just don't see how Oscar got it in him to. He don't need the money. You know what I mean? So like, and you get caught up into that lifestyle that he's been living. It's like, how do you,
Yeah.
how do you switch that from, you know, from being, civilized and you living in LA and all that, and then now you gotta be a dog. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's not, because I think once a fighter, always a fighter.
Correct.
But still, though, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't see it.
Okay. Talking on the topic of De La Hoya, we know he lost his golden goose, right? Canelo.
Yeah.
Next one, I think, with no questions, unless you think otherwise, will be Ryan Garcia in terms of his most important asset to his company. Do you feel like Oscar's gonna risk risk it more with Ryan or protect him even more? And I don't want to make it sound like he's gonna cherry pick, but more like he's gonna be more careful in guiding his career to become his next golden goose.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it all depends if Ryan's really going to stay with them. I mean, because, Ryan, he speaks his mind on Twitter and whatever. And a lot of the times it sounds like he's not happy, right? So who knows? I mean, but, he was fighting Campbell, who's a vet, got experience, whatever. So that was a tough fight for Ryan as far as like his toughest match. So even though I have him winning that fight though. But Ryan got skills though, man. But it just all depends. Golden Boy, if you really look at the fighters that they've built, they only done it with one guy, and it's Canelo.
Mm,
Golden Boy really didn't build no one. You know what I'm saying? Into a star. At the time when Golden Boy had everybody's this with PBC, that was Richard Schaefer running the show under the banner of Golden Boy.
mm,
So he, when Peter Quillen and Garcia and Broner and Spence and everybody was fighting, and Jacobs and me, Golden Boy was it, right? And then once they had to fallen off, everybody went to PBC. Ever
yeah,
since that, Golden Boy's only had Canelo.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I think Ryan, with his following, he makes it easy for Golden Boy to be able to market him.
mm,
Not even market him. They don't have to market him. Like, just all you have to do is give the kid fights. The kid's already bringing the crowd.
pants, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like all they gotta do is just make the fights. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
okay. Same situation, I guess. Two-part
But
question.
real quick, a lot of this comes down to money, because Golden Boy probably don't want to pay what they should pay. And then I heard Oscar say in an interview, I don't know exactly what interview it was, but I heard Oscar say, the problem is that these fights don't get made because, these fighters cash themselves out. That's funny coming from a guy that is the only guy to make $1 million in a 6-rounder,
Mm, yeah,
right? He made $1 million in a 6-rounder, and you're saying the guys are pricing themselves out of fights? Dude, you made $1 million in 6 rounds.
yeah,
And from there on out, the bag was crazy for a guy like Oscar. So
yeah,
for him to say that, it just blows me away, man, because if they paid Oscar what he wants to pay people, Oscar will lose his shit, right? So what makes it so different than when fighters say, hey, I want this, I deserve this, and Oscar and the company they feel some type of way, is a joke. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that part of it, man, that's a lot of the issue.
yeah. I think that's the same thing that's happening right now with Terence Crawford, who just had a great performance over Kell Brook this past Saturday night. Bob
Yeah,
Arum was talking about. I think somebody asked him in terms of, is it worth, you know, re-signing Crawford? He mentioned how it's kind of difficult because he could put so much money into this guy's career, but that he's not getting the investments back, in other words. So
yeah.
I guess in a way he was bashing him, saying like Crawford's not doing his part, he's not marketable enough.
Well,
So
you know what? I think to Bob Iron's defense, when he's saying he's not getting it back, I think he's not getting it back because the top 47 pounders aren't with top rank. So I don't think it's that Crawford's not marketable, because obviously, he sells out his hometown, whatever. I think it's just the fights that he wants to make can't be made under the banner of Top Rank, because all the PBC guys are, I mean, all those guys are with Heyman.
And they're fighting each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're fighting each other. So, like, you know, like, if Top Rank was able to make a fight with the winner of Spence and Garcia, you know what I mean, with Crawford, that's a big fight. You know what I'm saying? That's a big fight. That's pay-per-view. You know what I mean? It's going to do numbers. It's just Crawford don't have the right dancing partners. Like, he had Kell Brook, but a lot of people's looking at Kell Brook like they don't know what kind of Kell Brook is going to show up. You know what I mean? So, you know, and I like Crawford, but when it comes down to the A side of the 47-pounders, he's not getting his chance to fight those guys. And I think he does really good against those guys, but I mean, on the business standpoint, is almost hard for it to happen.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so I think Bob means it that way. I think Bob means that we're like, we can't get the bread back because we can't make a fight where, you know, it takes two big stars to make that bread, you know, or just one guy alone is you know, a one-man show really ain't gonna work unless you Canelo. You know, only Canelo could do that right now because he's
That's what I was
already.
gonna say. Unless you're well established.
Yeah, unless you're Canelo or Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? Other than that, there's really no fighter that can fight just a average guy and really do big numbers.
Yeah.
I mean,
we talked about A sides, right? We talked about, you know, big fights being on pay-per-view. I was just thinking about this now that we're talking the last 5 minutes in terms of how Danny Garcia has always been, from my eyes, right, the last 10 years or so, right? He's been a fighter in his prime. I think he's been a fighter that has proven himself in big fights.
yeah.
But unfortunately, like, he hasn't been headlined as the main event on a pay-per-view card. And I'm like looking at it right now. I'm like, oh my God, this is
He
Danny.
hasn't. Is this his first pay-per-view?
Yeah, like as a main event though. He's been on
Oh,
pay-per-view.
word.
That is the main event. The last one
Also, him and Thurman was in pay-per-view?
no, it was on that was on CBS.
All right, bet.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking right now. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like Spence, Broner, Thurman, who else? Sean Porter. And
Yeah.
they all been on pay-per-view as the main event. And crazy,
Yeah.
Danny's been in the game longer than all of those
Yeah.
guys. And I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, oh my God, this is his first time headline
Yeah.
as a main
Yeah.
event for Errol Spence.
Yeah. No, yeah, and this is Spencer's second time.
I think it'll be his. It was.
But you know, Dan, man, he's been headlining for a minute now.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you know, Dan's been getting to it, bro. So I got, you know, I'm rocking with Dan on this one. You know what I'm saying? I think Spencer's a bad motherfucker, but you know, I'm just curious to see how he's gonna take Dan's power. I think Dan could take all the smoke when it come down to what Spencer's dishing, but you know what I mean, I'm just curious to see if Spence could take his shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I have two outcomes in this fight. That's if somebody told me how I have the fight, I have Spence by decision, or I have Garcia by a TKO.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. I could see that, dog. I could see that. I mean, it's gonna be a good fight, man. And a lot of people don't understand. Like, Dan's boxing IQ is
Different.
top notch, and everybody looks at Dan swinging wild sometimes. Even though Dan's been actually like Dan's obviously this is like his 13th year now as a pro. With the experience, Dan's already figured that range out now, so you don't really see that from Dan no more. You know what I mean? Dan got the timing better. You know what I mean? So I just see Dan using the jab and the distance really good in this fight. You know what I mean? And you can't really be like, oh, Spence got in an accident, whatever. Like his pop said, like Angel said, he got cleared. You know what I mean? Like, he's good. So Dan got to just approach it like it's the old Spence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm curious to see if Spence really is 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, mentally, because physically he could be good.
Yeah.
Physically he could be good, but it's like, did that accident take any type of effect on him mentally?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do want
So,
to comment on this because a lot of people will try to assume the worst, right? Like I'll give an example. Hypothetically, if Danny was to win, people will say, "Oh, well, Danny beat up a beat up Errol Spence post car accident." Um,
yeah,
so I feel like Danny is a lose lose situation because he won't get for a lot of people's eyes, they won't give him
yeah,
the full credit. But if Errol Spence is to win, I feel like they'll double his credit because they'll be like, "Oh, he got into an accident. He
yeah.
could be in a tune-up fight, but he decided to take a Danny Garcia." So I just want to make it clear, not to you though, but like to like
No,
any
no.
this interview that
Oh, yeah.
if Danny wins, he should get full credit too because Errol
Mhm.
Spence decided to take this fight. Nobody forced him.
And by Spence taking this fight, you gotta take him for his word
Mm,
that he's good.
yeah.
Because Spence obviously had the option to be like, you know what, man, I don't know if I'm all right. Let's fight this guy. You know what I mean? But being that he's like, no, I want Dan, he must be feeling good. And look, at the end of the day, like he don't really remember the accident if you think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You fly out the car, like, you're knocked out, like, you're out of it. You know what I mean? So, like, as far as the experience of the situation, he doesn't really recall it, man. So, like, he could be good mentally and obviously physically he's good. So, you know what I mean? I think we're gonna know. I think we're gonna know the state of where he's at, like in the first 2-3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So, but look, you got guys like Vinny Paz, who, you know what I mean, who was working out with a neck brace and all that crazy shit. And you got so many stories of fighters that been through crazy shit. I've had crazy injuries, so it's like it's just part of the game, man. It's just shit happens.
Yeah.